I hate to break the fishing news after Remchuk, but I'd like to speak about the ice hockey.
Congratulations, you're one of the 13 listeners of the Real Life Podcast.
We just traded a migraine in for like an orgasm.
Might want to mark that down.
Yep. All of my projects are on schedule until they're not.
A member of the Nation Network of Podcasts.
About as funny as we're going to get today.
Episode 250 of the Real Life Podcast. That's a high number, 250 episodes. Wow. I'm Tyler Remchuk. This episode is brought to you by Oodle Noodle, where proceeds from all curbside pickup and in-store purchases go towards local charity. Check them out, 14 locations in Edmonton. Oodle Noodle. Or you can check out all their noodle-related memes at Oodle Noodlegram on Instagram. That's a good plug. They are good memes.
Thank you. Find a better noodle meme, I dare you.
Yeah, and that's the one of many things you guys have on Noodle King is the quality.
You know what? Someone
Instagram.
Brought up Noodle King on Twitter last night.
Because I think Surveyor Brett's running a Noodle King Instagram or a Twitter.
Motherfucker.
Surveyor Brett is a fucking animal these days on social media, both with his memes and his alt accounts.
The voices you're hearing, Bag Milk, Wanye, Jay as well. Plenty to talk about here in episode 250. Starting with an Oilers win, and one that, it was an electrifying win, but it has this fan base fired up, and it's only been, 12 days into the season, and we are already feeling the roller coaster of this all-Canadian division win, where the Oilers lose, and it's everything sucks, we're never going to win again, Connor McDavid's going to ask for a trade, Oilers win, and it's like, Jesse Puljujarvi is the second coming, this team's going to win the Stanley Cup.
It's amazing. We filled all 4 seasons in 12 days.
Yeah.
People's careers now last a period online. And then you're just, get out of here, garbage.
Well, Wanya, you would know Twitter right now better than any of us because you're highly involved in the Oilers Nation Twitter account on game days. So do you see the replies throughout the game? Like, goal goes in, and it's like, they should never play Adam Larson again. They should send him to Bakersfield. And then they score, and it's like, holy shit, this team.
I just love people who lip off the Oilers Nation account. They'll tag us and the Oilers as though we have any say whatsoever, but I reply to them as though we do have say. They're like, I can't believe Koskinen. I'm like, no, we're very confident in Koskinen as they attack.
Oh, man.
I don't know who they think they're talking to, Bag Milk. If they think Ken Holland runs the Oilers Nation Twitter account, or if it's actually Kate himself.
Either way, the thing that people need to know, if they're listening to this, is that we do have a direct pipeline to the Oilers. Yep. So every tweet you reply at Oilers Nation goes directly to Daryl Cates.
I once sat next to Ken Holland in the press box at an Oil Kings game, and he just put his phone on like the space between us. There was glass, but his phone was just on the other side, and his font size is huge. Like every time he'd get an alert, it would light up, and his font is fucking like the highest setting you can get on an iPhone.
It just says Puljujarvi, but there's just a P.
Yeah, like he's reading it one letter at a time. I thought that was hilarious. But let's talk about Puljujarvi a little bit, because he finally got that look up on the top line. And obviously everyone's been hyped about him returning for a while. The videos you guys are posting of him and Larvinen are tremendous as well. But last night felt like a big step for Puljujarvi, didn't it, Jay?
Huge. This guy he's come to play, he's coming, he's putting in the energy, he's hitting guys, he's skating hard, he's forechecking, he's back-checking, and now he got a shot with the top line, and he's having fun doing it, and he had a shot with the top line, and he fit in. He was complimentary to that line, and that line was dangerous. Fuck, I thought there was twice there I thought he scored. I'm really pulling for the guy. But the thing is that he's fitting into that line. He can play on that line. He can make an impact on that line, and that is something we needed. And I'm honestly just so happy for the guy, because we did him wrong. Those first few years. We played that hand poorly, and the fact that Uncle Ken and Tip could whisper him back, and you see him smiling. You see him after he almost right at the end of the game there, where he was falling and almost slid that puck in, and you saw his reaction with a smile on his face. Like, this kid is happy where he is. He is seizing the opportunity. He is showing us and playing to his potential, and he still has room. Like, he's still going to get better because he's not fully. His confidence isn't fully there yet, but he's starting to show us what he's got. And man, it was so relieving. Like, that game was more than just a win, right? It was the Jesse Puljujarvi come out party, and we gave him the chance, we gave him the stage to perform at, and fucking sure as shit, our boy JP came and performed. Like, I couldn't be happier for this guy.
He leads the NHL in smiles per 60. Like, every play, man, he could hit the post, he can get robbed, he can be getting into a shoving match with someone in front of the net, and like the play ends and he just has like a massive smile on his face. You mentioned like, the Oilers did him wrong in his first stint here, but part of the reason he's so effective right now is because like clearly something changed in his approach to the game is totally different. He's not trying to be, the perimeter guy who's just going to try rip home pucks from the top of the circle. Like, something clicked and he finally understands that head down, go to the net, stick on the ice, and use the fact that you're way bigger than everyone else to your advantage.
Yeah, no, he's confident. Yeah, he's more confident in his frame and he's using it. But the other thing is though, and you even saw it in like games 1 and 2 where he was a little nervous with a puck, where he was that shoot first mentality was going, or he would get the puck and he would just stop skating. Mm-hmm. Like, he actually tried to make plays and try to go around guys, and he was going around guys. Like, it was a completely different player last night. Like, it was so good to see, and like the goals are going to start showing up here. Like, it's just a matter of time. Like, it's happening. Connor's going to find him. Some of those shots he has are going to go in, and he's a different player than he was before. Because you're right, he was Bambi all over the ice. His legs are flopping around all over the ice. He's shooting any chance he got the puck. You could see his nerves, but like, we saw a confident kid there last night, and like, now we're going to really see what kind of player we have in our hands.
If you're asking I noticed, will Jesse Puljujarvi win the scoring title in 2021? Yes. Yes, he will, bitch.
Oh, if you were to take the tone of Oilers Nation as that question, like, everyone's so in on the hype right now.
The thing I notice about him the most is he's also playing with Connor and Nuge. Those two are going to move the puck around very effectively whenever they get it. The thing I like about what Jesse's doing is he's just going straight to the greasy areas. He is parking his big carcass in front of the net, hacking away, chipping away, poking at loose pucks, and it's creating havoc. Nuge scored last night because Jesse drove the net, caused a rebound, and the loose puck came out where Nuge banged it in. That play doesn't happen without Jesse driving to the front of the net. So I think he's being really effective. He's huge. He's 6'5", so parking himself in front of the other netminder is going to cause all kinds of mayhem. And it's been a lot of fun for me to watch him just execute on that, even in his first game with McDavid and Nuge.
We're drinking the Kool-Aid hard right now, but can you imagine if he turns into 6'5" Kailer Yamamoto? Like, are you kidding me? Like, if he has that element, and I think he does, it's in him. But like turning pucks over on the forecheck, having good hands in tight. If he can be, like I said, 6'5" Yamamoto, like, that's just such a huge development for this team. We've been crying for top 6 wingers for so long, and it's like, fuck, there are 2 in the organization that might be fits here.
Yamamoto, man, his engine does not quit ever.
No.
And it is very impressive. It's like one of those old Toyotas that they pull out on commercials after 1 million miles that's still running. He's incredible.
Yeah.
He is incredible. Yeah. And I think that can become infectious. But I'm going to talk about Yamamoto, but I want to bring up one more thing about Puljujarvi. I can't remember who he hit, but how he almost dumped that guy over the board. The physicality he's bringing is top notch. But over to Yamo, his goal. That's exactly like that's what Connor sets up Chase on to do so many times.
Yes, he never can convert them. He's always standing there.
Right, Yamo, boom, there it is. Yes. Hello, let's go. And then even like that little bugger, net front guy on the power play there for the 1 PP. And he's just getting abused, but he just like he's just fighting for his space in there. Like, shows up in the blue paint, he's just gonna pounce on that thing. The little honey badger that Yamamoto is, like, this is good. This is good.
I feel like Connor, I know you brought this up, Jay. I feel like Connor has a set play in his mind with Chase on that Chase on cannot execute for shit. Connor always tries to do it.
He did for 1 year, and he cashed in on it, and then he's not been able to do it since.
I'm surprised they didn't put Chase on waivers today over Tyler Ennis. Like that move.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
I don't get it either. Like,
does that mean they don't? Do they want to move on from Ennis? Like that's what that tells me.
It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, if you're going to do it, there's a very little chance that Chason would get claimed on waivers. Whereas I think if I'm a team looking for some offensive depth, I'd take Tyler Ennis at $1 million every day.
I think
you got to think about this marketing though, Bag Milk, right now. If anyone's listening that makes decisions for one of the other 29 teams, Chason's an excellent move. And my colleague Bag Milk saying no one would claim him may be erroneous because he's excellent value.
Please do not take
Don't take Chason. We couldn't afford to lose him.
He is integral to everything we've got going on over here.
He's just, joke aside, he is just so replaceable in this lineup. At 5-on-5, he does close to nothing, and at least Ennis brings you some speed on the forecheck. And in front of the net, like we've already seen, you can not have Chason in the lineup and just play one of Puljujarvi, Neal, or Yamamoto there, and it works better. So, I was surprised at that. I really hope Ennis clears because, again, at $1 million, I like having him around. My bold prediction on Oilers Nation Radio this year was that Ennis would finish top 5 in team scoring. I was quickly wrong about that. That's just not going to happen now. Chalmers has popped into the podcast. Chalmers, the Oilers win last night. What do you think?
Buddy, it's so funny that I'm late for this because, like, when I woke up this morning, I was really excited to do this podcast today for a myriad of reasons. One being that the Oilers game was awesome, and I knew that you guys. When I came in here, there was no shock to me that you guys were going to sound like this, upbeat, 3 and 4. Come on, you guys! Like, come on! I know we won. That was a team on the second half of a doubleheader, and we had them dead to rights in the second period. And in the third, you know what we did? We started to do what we used to do, and we let them back in.
Yeah.
We let them back in, and it was frustrating to watch. And so, am I happy that they pulled it off? Yes, I am. Did they have to score with 0.2 seconds on the clock on a power play? Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
Did Yamamoto have a great game? Did Puljujarvi look great? Yes, they did.
Do you second my prediction that Puljujarvi will win the scoring title this year?
No.
He's going a bit of a slow start, but he's got all the momentum.
Okay, but you know what he has done? He's erased all the bullshit that he did for me. Like, he's just a happy-go-lucky guy now that's, like, having fun, loving life, being here. And when he did what he did to the Oilers, I really disliked him. Like, he was very hateable to me.
We were saying earlier that he was done dirty by the Oil. You think it's the opposite?
I think he was done dirty by his agent. I think he was done dirty by the business of hockey. I think it was, I don't think that it was him. I think he's a young, impressionable guy who speaks, who's from another country.
Yeah.
And I think there was a lot of factors into it. But I also think that at some point you have the power to be like, I want to play for this team. Like, I want to play. And I want to stop making this, gigantic distraction. And so I kind of wasn't a big fan of his. I would have been fine if he went away. And in 7 games, he's done a really, really, really masterful job at, like, changing my mind in that way. Because
is he the best player in the NHL at this moment?
No, yes, sure. What do you? Yes, yes.
Yeah. Wow,
maybe.
Wow.
I feel like the Shia LaBeouf on that meme where I don't know, maybe. Yes.
Excellent.
Because I know that's what you want to hear. But
you want to wave Connor?
No, okay, but the Ennis thing caught me off guard as well this morning, and I do agree with you on the Chason thing. Ennis is like, I haven't even seen him, like, really in an Oilers jersey. I haven't. Yeah. It's been weird, but the other reasons I was very excited to come on this podcast was obviously that was a hell of a weekend of sports, and, like, from the McGregor fight to the football games.
Sorry, Liverpool Man U, that was tremendous as well.
Of course. How could you forget that one?
You just segued into the football talk, Chalmers. Oh, okay. Man. Fuck. My Bills you can't stop the Chiefs.
The Browns almost did.
No, the Browns couldn't even beat the Chiefs back up in the fourth quarter.
They almost did. The Bills definitely did not.
The Bills did not beat Patrick Mahomes and one of the best offenses in, honestly, NFL history when you look at the weapons they have.
Can can you stop living in the past, JR? The Browns were a week ago, okay? Yeah. We're on to Kansas City and the Bills here. And when it was 9-0, I'm sure there was a few tables being broken. And then it was 21-9, and you remembered why Kansas City was the best team in the league.
It's just, Mahomes is just automatic. The one thing I will say, though, the broadcasters might overdo it a little bit. I've been watching some funny TikToks about it, but like yesterday at the end of the game, when Tyreek Hill is like yelling at the Bills, Mahomes comes over, basically tells him to shut up. And Tony Romo's like, oh my God, the leadership. This guy, he is just the best ever. Look at the way he tells Tyreek Hill to go back to the sideline. That's what the greatest quarterback ever does. And like, sometimes he does things and the announcers, just because it's Patty Mahomes, like lose their fucking marbles.
The moment that they showed that was, I think you're thinking of the same one, was when he was trying to push them all back. There was a sort of a little bit of a pushing, shoving match on the field, and it was getting kind of out of control. And he was running up and down the sidelines, pushing players back. And they were all, that's a leader right there. He's a hero.
Yeah, I was like, come on.
All right.
A little far. We won't spend too much more time on football because I know our listeners just want us to talk hockey. But who's to blame for the Packers losing? I know we do have a lot of Packers fans that listen to us. Is it Matt LaFleur? Is it the refs? Is it Aaron Rodgers?
No,
I would say
it's more LaFleur, but some Rodgers. Why did you not run that in?
Run, baby, run. He's ran in for a touchdown already in the playoffs. Why would he not take off?
He runs in for TDs all the time.
Also, just like
discount double check.
Leaving points on the board when Brady had 3 interceptions as well, like that's tough. That's real tough.
Really tough. Really tough. And like I don't know if you guys saw the Aaron Rodgers when they asked him, do you think that was the right idea to kick that field goal? And he's just like dejected. Like it wasn't my decision. I understand the thinking. You know goddamn well he didn't want to do that. He don't fight all season to be in that position and to kick a field goal. Like it was mind blowing. And that's all people keep talking about this morning. But like it really truly is one of those things where you go, this is the NFC Championship. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I think coaches sometimes, I think in all sports as well, this can come back to hockey too, like they just think themselves into a pretzel. But especially in football when it has to be so instant and it's just like, hey, what do the analytics say? How's this happening? Like they just think themselves into this weird warp where like everyone on Twitter is like, you throw that ball, you go for it. And even if you don't get it, you still just have to stop the Bucks and then go get a touchdown. Like to kick the field goal because you want to potentially drive the field and win the game. Or some people were like, oh, but you don't want to give Brady the ball with that much time. But it's like, well, you're giving him the ball anyways. Like, does it matter if he has to drive the whole field or just get 2 first downs? Like to me, force him to drive the field. The Bills did it too on 4th down twice where they don't go for it in the red zone. And I'm like, yeah, like you said, Chalmers, you play all year for those moments. That'd be like the Oilers getting a power play with 2 minutes left in a tied game and being like, we're going to rest Connor McDavid for this one.
Yeah, and then the coach, the guy who hasn't, he's put in the hours, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And that is mentally draining. But physically, you're standing on the bench at that moment, you physically put your body at risk all year for this, and you look over, and they're sending in the field goal team. You had to have just been like, what am I doing? What are we doing? Like,
I wouldn't have left. I would have been sat right down there, forced to call a timeout.
I got to give a shout out because this weekend, on Sunday morning, I got a message from a friend of ours. We call him KJ, and he doesn't have a betting account, but he just had this feeling. He really wanted to put money on Tampa Bay. So he asked me if I would put money on Tampa Bay for him. And I said, I don't know, man. You sure you want to do that? He's like, yep.
I don't know, man. The juice is like 70 points a day.
So he said, well, what do I win? What do I win if I put 100 down? And I said, well, right now they're plus 148. So you would win $148. If you transferred 100, I would be giving you back 248 if you win. And he's like, yep, do it. So I did it on my book, and I was ready to bet the Packers, and heavy. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't have 2 of those slips on the same account. So I backed him up, and I backed him up big, and he was right. So, and I would have lost money that yesterday. So we won big on the morning, and I took all that and did the Chiefs parlay with the over on the night game. And so it was a very successful weekend. Did you guys have the same thing?
No. I bet on the Bills and Packers.
Yeah, this weekend was bad. I was upset. I was upset that the Oilers were. Yeah, I went heavy. Packers. I took the points and Bills. I even teased the spread a little bit just to hedge it, and got my ass handed to me. But last night I got greedy because I didn't think the Oilers were worthy of being the road favorites, given the fact that Winnipeg's record was much better than ours.
It was Laurent Brossoit between the pipes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So I played the puck line. I got greedy.
So I live betted. I missed the start of the game because I was just busy and I didn't bet. So I live bet them at 1-0. At a plus 160 or something like that. So
the Oil.
Yeah.
Attaboy, Chalmers.
Yeah.
Just get you on the podcast periodically, and you're right back in the mix.
Just right back in the mix. It was exciting. So I don't know. I thought it was a great weekend. The Conor McGregor thing. Sorry.
So you guys care about that at all?
Pretend
I didn't watch. Pretend I missed it.
Okay, so I haven't seen any clips from the fight. We were at a hotel in Jasper, and so I couldn't get the fight. So I was like watching it on Twitter, kind of like just from the comment section. And but what we had done was right before on Sportsnet, they have the build up to the fight. It was about an hour-long show, and my wife and I started watching it when we got home from skiing. That fight was like $100, maybe 75.
Yeah.
At that moment, if we could have got it in the hotel, she would have said, "Get it." And like spending $75 on a fight for my wife is like something she just would not do. But she was watching the build up to this thing, and she was in like hook, line, and sinker. And it was great. It ended up being the guy, the underdog, man.
That goes back to your big rant you had about a month ago.
Story sell.
Story sell,
man.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely bang on with that. Yeah, you watch an hour documentary and you're ready to sort of run through a wall, like you want to watch it. That's interesting. I did not watch the second of the fight.
Anybody watch the Tiger documentary?
Oh God, no.
I still need to watch the second episode, so don't get too ahead on this.
Man, it is good, but holy, the only thing I want to say is how different it was to have the Tiger documentary, only 2 parts, come out, about a year or whatever it is after the Michael Jordan documentary, because in the Jordan documentary, he got last say on everything. But when you watch the Tiger one, you can tell he clearly did not.
But Tiger appears at the end of it for like 1 second.
But I don't know if he had editor's cut on that one.
Well, but for him to be, and I'm not ruining anything for you, but he appears at the end and was like, "This is my life." Yep. Like, he must be aware of it on some level.
Has to be aware of it on some level, but I think that if he was like MJ in the editing room in the same way, he probably would have, some of those stories would have been left.
It wasn't a Tiger Woods, official biography by any stretch.
But man,
pretty wild.
The relentlessness of those top athletes in their prime is just, it's something I'll never get enough of watching.
So that's what you take out of it the most? Like, that's what the most intense part about it is? Like, what? Like, no, I'm just sad because I don't know what it is. I haven't seen it yet. But
I'm trying to
telling me it's
Chalmers. That hoodie, by the way, is just everything in the world. So good.
Like that, they just got him.
That's fly as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Tight.
This is
looks like a Club Monaco.
This is an audio. This is a audio podcast. So Chalmers is wearing an all-white Edmonton Country Club hoodie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am.
And it looks like a Club Monaco hoodie from back in the day because
it's just a circular logo. It's their 125th anniversary this year.
Fuck, I remember the 100th anniversary like it was yesterday.
I know.
I still have like a rain jacket or some shit.
We are getting old, my friend.
Oh, buddy.
Speaking of old, I'm at my desk, as you noticed today.
Yeah, not in the car.
Because I went skiing this weekend, and guess what I can't do anymore today?
Walk.
Yeah, I got an old man injury. Straight up, and it's not even like, it's like a weird one. It's where like I was stretching on the floor after because my body was hurting on Sunday morning, and I cracked my ankle. Like when you roll your ankle and it cracks, and I instantly got the pain as if I just like level 5 rolled it.
Oh no!
And now I have like a high ankle sprain. It can hardly walk.
Chalmers broke his own ankle.
Stretching with it up in the air. It's crazy, man. I don't like this. I'm actually very frustrated by it.
How are the slopes?
Awesome. Cold, but awesome.
Yeah.
Jasper's really cool. Like in order to get a parking stall, anybody that's going to Jasper, you basically the first parking lot fills up by like 8 o'clock. The second one by like 8:15. by 9 o'clock, if you're not at the hill, you're probably not getting a parking stall. That's weekend, remind you. But yeah, it's awesome. They do their best. We had a barbecue outside, you get warm up in the car. They still have the chalets. I mean, it was cool. We had fun. We had a good time.
Feel safe out there too? Like how, measurements and all that with COVID in place.
Yeah.
Like it's good.
Yeah. The best thing about skiing is you want to be wearing a face mask the whole time. Like your face is cold, right? So everybody's wearing a face mask. They're very, very strict about where and how you line up and how you get in and out of the building. So that's really, really good. I didn't see like the ski rentals because I know that would be a stressful one because ski rentals is an area that always used to get super packed and people were just going back and forth and all over the place. So I never did witness that one. But what was the other really good thing? So at Jasper, if you guys know, there's a mid mountain chalet.
Yeah.
And it used to have it had the best fire pit and was just basically a mid mountain party. It was depressing to ski by it. I'm not going to lie to you. A few people standing outside having their hands over the fire, but nothing like what it used to be. So
it'll be back.
I know. I know.
I'm with you. I noticed the same thing when I was there.
Yeah, you'd have definitely skiing sober a lot more in this type of environment because you can't go in and sit down and get drunk.
Probably a good thing.
Yeah, not a bad thing. Well, apparently I injure myself when I'm sober, so
you're not as loose.
Yeah, exactly. So no, all in all, it was perfect. I mean, we're gonna go skiing a lot in the next couple months. Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I want to try to get out this year. I didn't get out last year's first year in a long, long time that I didn't get out skiing once. I regretted it big time. We have a listener profile to do. I'm going to take that right now. Yeah, brought to you by Oodle Doodle. This one is from Caden Den Oudsten. Caden Den Oudsten. I really hope I'm saying that right. He starts off with before he answers a question, he just puts 4.5.
Oh my!
I don't get what that means, but
not bad. He's keeping it pretty legit. Go on.
Caden Den Oudsten.
4.5 inflated, but not necessarily impolite.
This is before the buzzer beater last time. You filled this out as.
Yeah.
Oh, this is from a while ago.
It could be anywhere.
This was after the Montreal Canadiens series.
That was a snapshot in time for now.
Caden knows it's not polite to point.
He's a social media manager / marketing assistant.
I just got that.
Social media manager.
So, marketing assistant, social media manager, he could give us some feedback on how he thinks this real life listener profile thing is. Is this, a good marketing idea for us? He lives in Lacombe, so, just a little bit south of Edmonton, and it's home of the world's largest fishing lure.
Len Thompson. Oh. Lenny T's are from Lacombe.
Yeah.
I love how many.
Lenny Thompson, the 5 of diamonds. It's a giant 5 of diamonds lure.
Yeah.
I love how many places in Alberta have world's largest this. Like the Pasenka in Vegreville or the sausage in Mundare. So there's odd.
The mushrooms, the mallard of Andrew, the mushrooms of Vilna, the landing pads of St. Paul.
Yeah, the landing pads.
You hit his wheelhouse. You're Jack.
Yeah, Jay,
the rampant STD of Banff.
Yeah.
I've got family in the winter, man.
The rampant STDs.
Oh, yeah.
You don't make him say it again, JR.
I didn't hear it.
I'll listen back.
Oh, mercy. Keep going, your MJ.
He started listening to the podcast, and I love this because so many of our listeners are like, day one, or so many of the people we profiled, they're like, day one, I listen to every episode. He goes, July 2020.
Yeah,
he's been listening for like 3 months.
We caught him. He was bored, and we got him.
He wants to give a shout out to his friend Austin for recommending the podcast 50 times.
Oh,
damn, Austin!
Austin sounds like Austin is the one that deserves the listener profile.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Austin, if you're listening to this.
You're owed one.
I know for a fact LA Liquor in Lacombe has just been restocked with Nation Beer.
Oh. Well, there you go.
Are you trying to sell him something? He's trying to be nice to us here. You're like, that's great.
Yeah. I want to buy him a 4-pack.
Oh, I see.
I don't know if I'm illegally allowed to say that. If you're
if you're handing out beer, me and Chalmers listen to this podcast a lot.
If you're of age, we should talk.
If you're not of age and you have a reasonably good ID, we can talk.
And then for all your home decor needs, you should go to Downton & Co. in Lacombe, and for all your lunch needs, you should go to Out and About.
What is happening right now?
Cinco Cafe.
I don't know. He's fucking...
It's an infomercial for Lacombe business?
Wait a minute. Is this brought to us by the Tourism Board of Lacombe?
Are you doing like a Barstool Sports thing where they're trying to save Michigan businesses? You're the Oilers Nation trying to save Lacombe businesses, or what?
I got family in Lacombe. I gotta help them out when I can.
Oh, I didn't. Well, I should have known that, but I did not know that. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Keep in mind. I said for Chalmers. I said for all your home decor needs, go to Downton & Co.
That's either a hell of a coincidence.
That's a good point.
That's a hell of a coincidence.
Your end check.
His favorite podcast moment. Keep in mind, he's only been listening since July 2020. Caden says Chalmers arguing about backing into parking stalls. He admits he never backs into a spot.
Oh, I love this.
No, that's okay. We all make mistakes.
At least you didn't bring up Chumgate, eh, Chalmers?
We all make mistakes. Yeah.
Favorite sports memory was the 2016 Memorial Cup in Red Deer, says he went to every game. And since he doesn't live in Edmonton, he's never been to Oodle Noodle. But Caden, next time you're in Edmonton, you should. And he already has his order planned out. He'd do the pad thai with green onion cakes. So there you go.
Well, you've figured half of it out, Caden. You just need to see this through.
You just got to drive a little bit.
How far away is Lacombe?
Oh,
6 or 7 hours by...
Oh, my God.
Hour and 15 max.
Yeah. If you go by boat, you can do it.
No, what's the serious answer? Is it an hour and 15?
Yeah, it's like 110 k's away south on the way to Calgary.
Well, that's not far at all. He could come in and get some noodle at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Have somebody bring it to him. Maybe next time you go to see your family there, Jared.
Or we'll just open a store in Red Deer.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's your Oodle Noodle listener profile.
Hey, you're a good man. Thank you for listening to our show. I apologize for it, and I highly suggest spitting chiclets instead.
I just updated our the sheet to make sure we got like fresh ones from everyone on Twitter, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more to go until we're all caught up on all the listener profiles that people have sent us. And
There's a brand new. Thank you for playing along, everybody. It's nice. It's nice to know names. It's nice to hear stories.
Joe Rogan didn't do that shit.
Nope. 3 hours of nothing. Yep, that guy.
Oh, come on,
love.
Chalmers.
I'm just kidding. I haven't listened in a long time.
You know what else Joe Rogan doesn't have? A promo code at Twig and Berries. Hello! twigandberries.ca, where you can get the Getting Lucky threesome. You wanted that?
Ooh.
You can get the Getting Lucky threesome just in time for Valentine's Day. A nice red pair of their nutsack underwear, a nice red long sleeve, some socks as well. It's only $50. That and so much more. No judgment, no shaming, no fancy words. Just real men. twigandberries.ca. Also, shout out to their sales section, which as a good Ukrainian boy, I love a good sales section. They got some quality products in there. And you can also use the promo code NATION15 for 15% off your order. So there you go. twigandberries.ca.
Well done, your Chuck.
Anything else from the Oilers' start to the season that's caught anyone's attention? Anything else you guys need to get off your chest?
Speaking of Twig and Berries, I thought that old Daryl was going to pummel Wheeler last night for hitting him in the fig.
Yeah,
that would have been a good fight because Wheeler's tough. So is Darnell as well, but that would have been
I think Wheeler knew that it was a little cheap shot giving it to him in the ribs like that. He didn't really like stand up for what he had done very much. He just
I know, but he's very accountable too. So he probably been like, okay,
I'm sorry,
I did that. I'll pay the price. Let's go. But I know Nurse, like he's also probably trying to coax a penalty on the Nurse, and it was a very important point in the game too. So a power play either way could have been damaging. So yeah.
One thing I'd say about last night's game, your Chuck, one of my many Oilers-related hobbies is wringing my hands and lamenting people we let go too early. You know, I love doing that, right? At no point last night, watching Laurent Brossoit play all right against the Oilers, did I miss him as a goalie. Ever.
No.
He's gone on to have an okay career, but I don't know what the hell we were getting when he was here.
He is what he is. He's an incredibly average backup goaltender. Like, there will be the odd night where he gives you, 35 saves and he plays great, but for the most part, he's just going to have a 900 save percentage and he's going to give up 3 goals a game. Like, that's just kind of who Brossoit is. I think in that situation there, like with Hellebuck, and Hellebuck would start all 56 games, I think, if he could. I think he's probably in a decent spot is Laurent Brossoit. But yeah, I don't miss him here either. Like when they're playing the Habs, you miss Jeff Petrie because you're like, fuck, why can we have that in our lineup? but not with Brossoit. Mm-mm.
No, somebody said on Twitter, like, "Oh, the Oil gave up on Brossoit too soon." I'm like, I don't know that they did actually.
No, if he was starting somewhere, then we would have. The fact that he's still a backup.
The thing that sticks out to me when I think of Laurent Brossoit, and this will be my junior hockey rant, is, man, those Oil Kings teams that were winning Mem Cups, winning WHL titles, you look at the nucleus of those teams, like Henrik Samuelsson did not pan out. Griffin Reinhart.
Yeah.
Curtis Lazar is doing good things now in Buffalo. Looks like he's found a spot there. But like all those guys, Mark Pysyk, I guess, went on to have a pretty good career. But in terms of the Memorial Cup teams, like none of the big names there panned out. But goalies, like the Oil Kings just knew how to produce goaltending. Like Brossoit has had a good NHL career. Tristan Jarry is, up and coming, but he's a starter in the league now. And so where I'm going to this is the name you need to watch. The kid the Oil Kings have right now, Sebastian Cossa, who's 17 years old and like 6'5", 190 pounds. That's a guy to watch. Like he's probably going to go in the first round or very early in the second. He'll be one of the highest goalies taken. But for those of you who care about the draft and care about local hockey, Sebastian Cossa, Fort Saskatchewan product. He's a fucking beast.
Speaking of local guys, you see who scored last night for the Sharks?
Noah Grigor?
Yeah. Not too shabby.
Famous Moose Jaw Warrior.
Big time.
Yep. And
I was almost going to tweet something about it, and I was like, nope, that's one of the things Oilers Nation cannot tweet about. Oilers Nation cannot shout out Noah Gregor. That doesn't work like that.
No, Gregor did, and Gregor should.
Yep.
Crazy Uncle?
Crazy Uncle.
I like that picture that he posted of him, of Jason Gregor rocking the Noah Gregor jersey. I thought that was really good.
He told me off so hard one time because our draft prospectus didn't have Noah higher.
No. So I'm not gonna be accurate, but I'm gonna get the point across. So like we were doing our prospect profile, and we were counting from 100 to 1, and we were at like 50, and we haven't mentioned Noah Gregor yet, and that's where like Gregor thought like that's where like the consensus was where you'd be is around 50. So he was pissed at us because he thought we missed him, but we actually had him at like 46. So we actually had him better.
So
but ever since then, Gregor's nickname is Crazy Uncle.
Crazy Uncle.
That's funny. But he scored a goal, and if you use that name Gregor at Papa John's, you get 25% off your order. I do that quite regularly. Yeah, that's one of Gregor's promotions on his show, is you use the code word Gregor.
What the fuck just happened here?
What did just happen here?
Are you going to sponsor the next segment by the Spindle Factory? We're cross-pollinating ads.
I think I got a car accident or some shit.
Oh, jeez.
That was a really harsh reaction to me just shouting out.
Yeah, apparently you can shout out half of
I legit thought you got in car accident.
Yeah, me too.
Try the Gregor code at Twig and Berries and see what happens.
You're reading the legend of the downtown businesses of Lacombe word for word. He off-brand mentions something he enjoys eating.
Yeah, he goes on and promotes a promo code for Papa John.
Because it was relevant.
Lacombe with 2 gas.
It was relevant.
We were talking about Gregor, and I used the code word Gregor at Papa John's on Friday.
Yeah, I figured if anybody wouldn't deem that or get that kind of response from you guys, it would be your best buddy Jason Gregor.
Well, he'll love it.
Yeah, I know, but so why are you getting so mad at your Chucker for it? I mean, shit.
Yeah.
It's your best friend, Jason Gregor.
Why don't we just continue promoting promo kings for Oodle King or Noodle King?
You just pull off your face and you're the Noodle King.
That was a fake company, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're giving it enough buzz that it's going to be real here right away.
All
right. So, lesson learned. I will never shout out.
Never mention any company you like.
I won't even mention, like what kind of clothes none of that. It is only Twig and Berries and Oodle Noodle to be mentioned on this podcast. I've learned my lesson. Although I did have Oodle Noodle not that long ago as well. And it was delicious. One of the things that we talked about in the mailbag, we also talked about this a lot on Oilers Nation Radio, but I'll bring it up here. It's the last Oilers note I had. What's everyone thought of Mikko Koskinen so far? Chalmers, I'll start with you since you got the analyst cap on for us today. What do you think of Mikko so far this year?
It has been very clear that everybody remembers that he had a weak glove hand because I see a lot of people shooting at it. I have noticed that it has been much, much better this year. I feel absolutely terrible for him that he has to play every single game. Play 7 of 7. They panned to number 50 yesterday at some point, and I had zero idea who that was. So good on him. He's playing good. I don't think that I haven't really seen any goals that he's let in that I've been really all that pissed off about. Every time I see him, I'm just like, man, I feel bad for him. I feel bad for him that he is. I feel bad for us too, because we're in this position of having only one goalie and losing a goalie before he can even play a game. So I don't know. That's kind of my top of the mind thoughts.
Do we know anything more about Smith and what the situation is?
So Gregor was speculating, and actually there's
Noah or Jason?
Jason, and there is a pizza
or the
place.
promo code.
Yeah. But Gregor was speculating that it's a knee problem, or that's what he's heard. And then Dave Tippett, or no, it was Stauffer said today that apparently Smith has been skating on his own here in Edmonton while the team's on the road. But he isn't even allowed to play for 24 days after they put him on LTIR. So I don't know when that would be exactly, but it sounds like he'll be ready to come back once his 24-day stint's up. Maybe? I don't know.
Where's the goalie we claimed?
Yeah, I don't know where Troy... Last I heard, Troy Grosnick was in Montana at the border waiting to see if he was supposed to drive to Edmonton or not. So I would assume he's in Edmonton quarantining, but who knows?
What a calamity.
Yeah. Speaking of quarantine rules, first off, that big trade, the Jets getting Pierre-Luc Dubois, giving up Patrick Laine, like fucking massive trade. And the other guy in there, Jack Roslovic, who was an RFA. I don't know how many people have seen this, but he's a Columbus he was born in Columbus boy. And since he didn't have a contract, he was just staying in Columbus and skating there. And then the Jets traded him to Columbus. So he got to avoid the quarantine rules that the other players in the trade have because he's in Columbus. He's good to go. He's practicing with the team already. And on the other side, kind of worked out for the Oilers that the Jets trade Laine, lose a star forward, and Dubois is out of the lineup for like the next 4 games they play each other.
I'm
is it
shocked.
okay? That's good.
I'm shocked at the fucking career arc of Patrick Laine.
Who had...
yeah. Man, you think about his rookie year, they were finished flashing him, he was getting everything. And now it's like, we're going to trade you for a guy who we know has problems coming back.
No. Pierre-Luc Dubois is legit.
Yeah.
But he fell out of favor with Torts.
If Patrick Laine had problems with Paul Maurice in Winnipeg, he's going to fucking love Torts in Columbus, won't he?
Yeah. Well, I think the interesting part will be that Torts Laine is going to have that Finnish GM in Columbus, right? Like, he might have someone who's willing to back him up a little. Like, this might be the first time the Blue Jackets choose a star player over John Tortorella.
But, like, internally, though, that can't be a good look when you're running to daddy all the time because the coach makes you upset.
I wonder how the GM and Tortorella get along. I imagine the Finnish dude is being, like, very calm and data-driven and Finnish, and then Torts is being like, ah!
Yeah, Kekalainen's like a super bright guy. Going back to that draft, Matthews goes 1, Laine 2, Dubois 3, Puljujarvi 4. I mean, a year ago, even 2 years ago, who would have had Puljujarvi outlasting Dubois and Laine in their respective cities?
Wow,
that's true.
Yes, right? I mean, he took a bit of a break.
Yeah, but he's back. It's interesting to watch, but big trade obviously. And the Jets just like that center depth in Winnipeg. If they want to roll 4 centers and just go Scheifele, Dubois, Stastny, Lowry, that's unreal.
That is unreal.
So good.
Yeah.
Why don't you marry them then, Tyler?
Yeah, if you love them so much, why don't you just go talk about them forever?
Easy, Wanye. Why don't you go marry Matt Tkachuk, who's busy
you
trying
think
to
have
hurt
me? I mean, no.
Matt
Tkachuk.
Did you see that play?
Did you see what he did to Jack Campbell last night? It was greasy.
Yeah, greasy.
Greasy.
So greasy. He's such a bag of shit.
Yeah, like he dropped his knee on Jack Campbell's head and like wasn't even very subtle about it. And then today,
not even at all.
Then today they asked him about it and he's like, "Oh yeah, classic. Everyone's trying to say I did it on purpose." It was like
I always remember when he was having.
Well, what do you expect him to say?
He was doing the press conference with Talbot. He'd done something shady, and then the press conference, he's like, "I would never do that on purpose." And Talbot was like ready to cry because he was lying in a press conference.
I don't know what I was expecting him to say, but like I don't know. That's just kind of such like a guilty person says. Like, oh yeah, everyone's just blaming me. It's like, yeah, they are.
Answered his bluster as a real despot would.
Yeah.
Oh man, Matt Tkachuk. This Canadian division, man. Right now, like things haven't really.
It can't go away.
No, I
can't
agree.
go away.
It doesn't. I know that Canucks games would start at 1 a.m. in Toronto, but fuck those people anyway.
Hey, yeah. Talking about. Yeah, go ahead, Bag Mouth. And then this division is so much more fun. Mm-hmm. There's no fucking boring games against the Coyotes. Everything means more. The pressure's cranked up. The hatred's starting to build a little bit, and I just don't. I understand time zones, blah, 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 but I don't understand how they can get away from this Canadian division next year because it is so fucking good.
So much better.
It is.
The only reason they can't keep doing it is, one, they don't like the travel to expansion, right? Like, every team needs to have 8 divisions after this year, and, like, what would it be?
Every team needs to have 8 divisions.
Oh, sorry, every
8 teams in the division.
Yeah, sorry, other way around.
What are you envisioning?
I don't know. But like, where would you like? You can't put Seattle in the Canadian division and be like, it's 7 Canadian teams and Seattle. Like that would be
and you should.
You can put Detroit or you can put Seattle.
Yep, we'll take one of the two.
Or
you want octopi, or do you want that fish throwing place?
Or you move the Florida Panthers to Quebec.
Yeah, that's
you can do that also.
That'd probably be the smart play is to move the Panthers, but that's not going to happen. They're going to go back to normal, and we're going to go back to having to like give a shit about the LA Kings when they roll into town. But I agree with you, Bag Milk. One, I'm barely paying attention to what's happening south of the border in the NHL. I really only care about the North. And like every game, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, this better not go to overtime. I'll be pissed if this is a 3-point game. Leafs are playing the Flames, and I'm like, why can't they both lose? Fuck.
The best. This is how it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
And I'm really liking these mini-series, too. The idea of going back-to-back against people.
Those are great.
It's a different flavor. It's a little bit of baseball into NHL, and I like it. I hope that doesn't go anywhere either.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm just seeing
I also thought the seat coverings at the arena in Winnipeg were nice, the royal blue.
Yep.
In the stand. I don't know if that counts anything, Yamchuk, but I thought that.
After the Oilers beat the Canucks, my cousin Jake tweeted out, he was like, at Oilers, do something about the ugly gray seat coverings. Look at around the league. Like, blue is way more beautiful. And I told him, I was like, no complaining when they win. You save that complaint for when they lose.
Oh, man, I love how this is it, eh? During a deathly pandemic, we're like, take your seat covers, you idiot.
I was wondering yesterday how they got those seat covers so tight and so nice in Winnipeg. Like,
it's like, I think they have like a wooden frame that they just like place over the seats and then wrap the tarp around it.
They've been getting ready for this since COVID-18.
They also
not a lot of ads on the seats in Winnipeg, though. I noticed they got a lot of empty real estate out there. Easily sneak one in for Mitzi's chicken fingers there.
Oh yeah, you got to plug Mitzi.
They don't need to advertise.
Oh hey, what are you doing bringing up this chicken finger place, Jay? Come on, they don't sponsor the pod.
Whoa! I'm not advertising other people's promo code.
You got a promo code?
I'm talking about an institution in Winnipeg.
I never heard of Mitzi's.
Yeah, neither have I.
Yeah, have you been to Winnipeg?
Nope.
Yeah, been to the Forks. Yeah.
Oh, you've been to Forks.
You haven't been to Winnipeg unless you've been to Mitzi's.
I would agree.
I've been to Earl's on Portage La Prairie.
Yeah, of course you go to Earl's.
You didn't take a cab though, I guarantee it. Or if you did, they didn't let your friends in.
No, I've been to Winnipeg probably 10 times, man.
You didn't fly there once.
Yes, I did.
You're
right, I did.
You fly into Brandon.
My wife used to live in Brandon. If she
fly to the Gander Air Force Base, and you come there in a military helicopter.
The old Johnson farm allows planes to land every now and then, but
that's
can't
where
call
I was flying into. Yeah,
I flew it on a crop duster.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, just one more time, the amount of people that get really upset about that joke over and over again, no matter how often we say it against the Winnipeg Jets, will never get old to me.
Did you see? I shared that tweet that there's a Not Wings Nation, another Red Wings blog, tweeted about how Winnipeg doesn't have an airport.
Oh, nice.
I just love how this thing is transcended. It's just phenomenal.
I'll never forget when you first started the joke and you tricked a local reporter into it. And I was just like, I was watching the newscast at home and I was like, oh my God, what is going on the TV right now? And I like felt bad, but I was like, because I don't know, like at first when the joke first came out, even me for a second, having never been to Winnipeg, I was like, Really? Like there's no airport like in Winnipeg? And then you kind of shake your head and you
They
go,
haven't got
no.
around to it yet.
I
I remember one. Sorry.
Josh Park yesterday was literally like, wait, is there actually not an airport in Winnipeg? And I was like,
I had a guy one time tweet at me, I'm in the airport right now, and took a photo. And it was like, welcome to Winnipeg. And I'm like, you must be mistaken. That must be the train station.
Probably
Winnipeg,
Brandon.
Kentucky. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not Winnipeg. All right.
You know there's an Edmonton, Kentucky Ramchuck? Did you know that?
Really?
And it's listed as an airport code on Expedia.
Huh.
Don't go there.
More you
There's
know.
also a Paris,
There's an
Kentucky
evil
town.
Kailer Yamamoto there. And he talks on local radio. And he, too, loves twig and berries.
And using the promo code NATION15 to get 15% off your order at Twig and Berries, and literally never using another promo code anywhere else in your life.
There you go.
That's the way.
That's the spirit.
That's a good transition point for this podcast here, because we are going to be joined by a special guest here on the Real Life Podcast. Always a pleasure whenever we can get a former Oiler to hop on and share some stories with us. And we're joined now by former Oiler, veteran of 100 NHL games, Liam Reddox. Liam, how's it going, man?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Appreciate you giving me some time here. Excited to chat about your career a little bit, and want to just start right from the beginning here. One of the things we love doing when we get former players on the pod is talking about the come up a little bit. And for yourself, I mean, I was looking back through your numbers in minor hockey in Ontario, and I mean, you were a goal scorer, you were a point producer from a young age. I guess where I want to start is, I think all Canadian kids kind of have, the dream of making it to the NHL. But for you, when was the moment where it went from just being a dream to like, oh man, I think I actually have a shot to make the NHL here?
Great question. It really wasn't until I got the phone call to get the call up to Edmonton, actually. I like you said, I was always scoring points and being a big contributor offensively throughout my career in the OHL, minor hockey, all that stuff. But it wasn't even really in my mind, the NHL. It was just always focused on the present. I always had that mentality that, okay, when I'm in Peterborough, all I'm worried about is trying to be the best player for Peterborough. And then when I got drafted, going to the Oilers camp, super intimidating. You don't really think about it, but then once you get there, you're just awestruck that you're on the ice with some of these superstars that you grew up watching. And I didn't ever think that I would be able to crack the lineup. But my focus was being the best player for the AHL farm team. And I think that mentality and that, that grind to be the best for the team that I was playing with really pushed me to get to that, the NHL.
You talked about getting the call when you first found out you were going up to the NHL. What do you remember about it? Who made the call? What was kind of going through your head when that happened?
You know what? I can't remember who made the call, but I was in Enfield, Connecticut. I had just finished practice. I was playing for the Springfield Falcons. And it was just goosebumps. My jaw dropped. I tried calling my parents, couldn't get a hold of them. Tried calling my sister, couldn't get a hold of her. I don't know who else I tried calling, but I ended up calling, getting a hold of Chris Moynes, who is my financial advisor with One Sports. He was the only one that would pick up the phone. I just wanted to tell someone, didn't know who to tell. And he ended up being the guy that I told first that I got the phone call.
You ended up playing in an even 100 NHL games, but what do you remember about game one? Like, was there that welcome to the NHL moment at some point where, like, did you get your bell rung early on in the game? Do you remember, like, looking out at the crowd and being like, man, shit, I can't believe I'm here right now?
I remember it being, I believe it was a St. Louis Blues. I think Kyle Brodziak took warm-ups and then he couldn't go, so then I got tossed in. My second shift, I got a breakaway against Toivonen, and I choked. I thought, oh my gosh, first shift, I'm going to light up this goalie. And I just couldn't. I got it on my backhand. I couldn't get the puck over his pad. But at one point of the night, I remember lining up, and Dougie Waite was on the ice, I believe, Paul Correa, and I was like, are you kidding me? Am I actually on the ice with these guys? Really cool feeling, and one I'll remember forever.
It's a great tie-in because our guest on the podcast next week is going to be Kyle Brodziak. We're going to chat with him a little bit. While we're on the topic of first, what do you remember about the first goal?
First goal was the following season. We were playing at home against the Colorado Avalanche. It was me, Pisani, and Cogs that were out on the ice. And I can't remember who shot the puck. I think it might have been Pies, but he shot it in the slot. It went off the back wall, and it popped right out to the side of the net. I had an open net. I just raised the puck over Budai's pad there, and I think I did like 4 or 5 different sellies because it took a minute to sink in, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go down on one knee. Then it was like, all right, now I got to jump into the glass. Like I just couldn't contain all my emotions. It was an awesome feeling.
I've noticed you remember the goalies and all these specific plays. Do you have like a pretty good memory of like things that happened throughout your career?
There's just certain particulars that I remember. To be honest with you, like before I got on here with you, I was talking to my wife, and I was like, you know what? I wish I could remember more, because it felt so quick, and I feel like I didn't really take it in because it was just like every day you're showing up, you're trying to earn your keep, and you never really get to, not that you want to be in a comfortable state, but there was just never that for me. It was always, am I going to get the letter to go back down? That was the feeling. So I couldn't really enjoy it, but I do have bits and pieces that I really remember vividly.
I heard an interview that Andrew Cogliano did a couple months ago, and he talked about how there was a point in his career where he had to shift his mind from, okay, I'm going to be an offensive guy that scores, 30 goals a year. I need to learn to be more defensively sound if I want to make in this league. I got to learn how to penalty kill and all that. For you, as a guy who scored so much in junior, was there ever an adjustment you had to make when you got to the pro game that like, hey, I'm not putting up a point a game anymore. Like there are other things I need to focus on doing if I want to be successful at the pro level?
I was actually really lucky. My last year in Peterborough, we had a fantastic hockey team. And before that, I was always the main man. But that last year in Peterborough, we had Jordan Stahl, Steve Downey, Pat Coletta, Dan Ryder, list goes on and on. So I kind of got bumped down on the pecking order, and I went to like the PP2, and I was doing more penalty killing. And Dick Todd was the coach, and he really focused my game on being a more complete hockey player. I think that was where it really started. And then the next year, the following year, I went to the East Coast to Stockton Thunder, and didn't have a great start. And I just early on, I got knocked out of the lineup, and I just had to find a way to get back in. And that started in practice. And it was just like, I treated every practice like it was a game 7, and just trying to earn it every day. And that's really where I found my niche, that I was just going to be every day, put in the work, grind, and just do whatever I can to be, that player that can play any position and do whatever they ask of me.
When you finally made the jump to Edmonton, I mean, you talked about, showing up at the camp and having all these guys around you and just kind of being starstruck. What were your first impressions of the Oilers organization when you finally got here? Because, I mean, when you got to the Oilers, they were kind of at a point that here at Oilers Nation, like we've dubbed that the decade of darkness. But what were your first impressions when you got there?
Like in terms of just the whole experience?
Yeah, like the culture, just being around that kind of group they had at the time. I mean, it was coaches in and out the door for a lot of it as well, but the culture inside that organization, sort of what were your first impressions when you got there?
You know what? I was just again, like I said, just so starstruck and like in awe that I didn't really get a chance to really pick my head up and be like, you know, take in all of those different things. I can tell you that, you know, the older guys, the Horkoffs, the Moros, they were great leaders. They were very good to me. They made me feel welcome, made me feel a part of the team, and even the younger guys like we spoke about Brodziak, Cogs, Gagne, like these Tom Gilbert. These guys really took me under their wing and tried to show me the ropes. Jason Strudwick, awesome, like the best teammate I've ever played with. Just an awesome dude. So there was a lot of good things. You know, I can't put a finger on what actually was the problem.
Yeah, man. Hey, if you could have pointed out the problem at the time, I'm sure you would have made a lot of money as an executive in the league. So you end up, like I said, play 100 games in the NHL, and every year was, you know, a few in the American League, few in the NHL, and you eventually decide, or you eventually go over to Europe. What went into that decision for you? Because like I've heard that it's always a struggle for players to make that choice, because sort of as soon as you go over to Europe and you stop doing the AHL, NHL thing, like in a way you're almost saying, okay, like I'm done in the NHL. Like it is a new chapter, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so there was a lot of back and forth that final year. I wanted to get something done with Edmonton, and I had drawn a line in the sand for where I thought I should be, and we couldn't get there. I had gotten a great offer from the Vecchia Lakers. Just gotten married the previous year, and she was going to be joining me, and I didn't want to be doing the traveling back and forth and having her sitting somewhere else while I could be potentially, you know, not really having a home. And then also just, you know, with the team not doing so great, they were getting a lot of picks, and I was looking at the depth chart and I was thinking like, it's going to be tough to be one of those guys that's going to continue to keep getting those call ups. And so there was a lot of different pieces that went into it. It wasn't an easy decision. But at the end of the day, I don't regret the decision, because the next 8-9 years in Vecchia were some of the greatest years that I had playing hockey.
When you first jumped over, did you even imagine that it would go on as long as it did and you'd have as much success as you did there? Like you said, almost a decade playing in that league with the same organization.
Yeah, no, that was never the intention. When we did decide to go over there, the intention was that I would hopefully have a good season, maybe 2, and then try and get myself back to North America. I did get requalified, so that kind of slowed the process down of and gave me an extra year over in Europe, where I was just like, you know what, we really love it over here. We're happy, and that was kind of the deciding factor that made us end up staying over there for so long.
How big of an adjustment is it, not just from like the on ice style, which is a big part of it, but the lifestyle as well, from going from the American League to making the jump and playing pro overseas instead?
It was different in a lot of aspects. Like you said, obviously the style of play is a huge difference. The size of the ice, it's only a couple of meters, but it like the time you have with the puck, these sorts of things changes the whole dynamic of the game. But also the mentality of the teams. In the AHL, you're a team, but everyone's fighting for the spot up in the NHL, right? So there's camaraderie, but there's also a lot of
it's inner competition, right?
Going on.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on in the background. And over over in Europe, it's completely different. There's just a synergy between the teams, the good teams that I played on, that I've never felt that unity in a group that I had over in Europe that I had in North America. So that was a really, really cool experience to have those experiences with some really good hockey teams over in Europe.
I've never been to a game overseas, but the one thing, whenever people go there, I was like, man, the crowds are just nuts there. And you played in a Rexall place that would get pretty jumping at times. How do you compare? Like, how's the energy different? How's the crowd different when you compare a sold out Rexall place to a sold out barn in the Swedish league?
They're uncomparable. Because obviously it gets louder, crazy loud at Rexall. I think of the rink in San Jose that's just like electrifying when they're standing up. But then you have the rinks over in Europe, at least where I was playing in Vecqua, that holds 5,500. But it's a smaller rink. They're so loud, and you have all 5,500 people jumping at the same time on cue. It's like the roof's going to come down on you. It's a whole different level. So it's different. It's more, I guess it's just more intimate where you feel like they're right on the ice with you all the time, which is cool.
Now let's talk about the flip side of a crazy packed barn. I don't know how much hockey you watch nowadays, but could you imagine having to play an NHL game in one of the rinks right now where it's just silent?
I do. And I have watched some of the hockey, and I got a lot of respect for those guys that are doing what they do at the level that they're doing it without the fans. That has got to be extremely difficult, I would think, to be playing in the NHL and having an empty barn. Crazy.
Yeah, like one of the big topics early in the season for the Oilers, at least, has been, like a guy like Zach Kassian, who usually just loves the energy of the crowd. He throws a big hit and there's 18,000 people screaming right after it. And now he throws a big hit and it's automated crowd noise that gets like 10 decibels louder. Like, as an energy guy as well, like it would probably just be the craziest sort of mind game to have to play that. When you do something big, you're not getting the banging on the glass or anything. It's just nothing.
For sure. And it's already like, the seasons are already like a mental grind. And, some nights you're going out there and you're sore and you're beat up, and the fans are what gives you that extra kick in the butt to like get going, And when that's not there, and you have a guy, like you said, Zach Kassian, that really feeds off that energy. And there's lots of guys in the league like him that, man, props for what they're doing right now.
Speaking of the season going on right now, the All-Canadian division, I mean, I'm sure you have been a part of Battle of Alberta's, Edmonton versus Vancouver, that rivalry as well. Can you imagine having to play one of those teams 9-10 times, not just in like a normal season, 9-10 times in like 3 months?
Absolute war zone. I hope these guys don't hurt each other, because I can only imagine, like in the A, I couldn't stand when you had to play teams 9-10 times, because by the 5th, 6th game, it's like a bloodbath. It's crazy. So for these guys to be doing these little mini series within the regular season is cool in a sense, because it's fun to watch, because you see those little battles going on within the games. But for them to be doing that on a consistent basis, going into these little mini series, that's a tough grind for sure.
A few more for you, Liam. And this is one I love asking guys who play in Europe, and you seem to be good at remembering names. I'm thinking you'll give me an answer here, but in terms of guys you maybe played with or against in Europe, is there one guy who was just so skilled but never quite made the jump to the NHL? Like a teammate, anyone you played against, you'd watch and you go, I don't understand how this guy isn't an all-star in the NHL, but for some reason it just didn't work. I mean, maybe it's a guy you played with in like the American League as well, who just never quite made that jump, but was just insanely skilled.
Tommy Callio's one name that comes
Okay.
to mind. I can't remember where he got drafted, but he had a heck of a career over in Europe, and I played with him in Vecua. Another guy that I think of is Joki Lidstrom, who's in Skellefteå. I think recently he went over and he almost made the team in St. Louis, maybe.
Okay.
Got traded to Toronto. This guy leads the league like every year in the SHL, and you get him the puck on the power play, and it's a goal. Just get Joki the puck, and it's a goal. But for whatever reason, it just didn't translate over here in North America. I don't know if it's because of the extra room he has on the power play with the wider ice. But this guy, he could play. He's still playing, and he's still right up there in the points. He's one guy that comes to mind when I think of guys that didn't actually make it.
And we'll end it with this one. You're a former Oiler. This is an Oilers podcast on Oilers Nation. So give us your best Oilers memory, whether it's, a game, a run of games, a goal you scored, maybe something that happened in the room, anything like that. What would be your number one Oilers memory?
My number one Oilers memory. Wow.
I'm hitting you with hard ones.
I'll never forget taking the LRT to the games and having to get off the LRT, jump the fence to an NHL hockey game, jumping the fence to go down the stairs to get into where the players enter. That's one memory that I always think about, that it's crazy that I was playing in the NHL, taking the LRT, jumping a fence to get to a hockey game. Awesome though. I think that's amazing. And another one is, I got called up, and Kelly Buchberger tells me, all right, when you land, get right to the rink, drop your stuff off, and go from there. So the team was playing on the road the night before. So I get to Edmonton at like 6 a.m, show up to Rexall, and I get let in, and then I get to the room, but the sliding doors won't open. So I'm smashing on the doors. I hadn't slept all night because I was so excited I got called up. And then I was like, all right, forget it. I'm just going to lay here for a sec. So I was laying on my bag out front of the sliding doors at Rexall, where the players come out of the room. And I fell asleep, and at 11:30, I can't remember who came and got me, but the trainers finally got home from wherever they were coming from. And they were like, dude, what are you doing? And I was like, coach told me to come right to the rink. He was like, buddy, go back to the Sutton place. We'll unpack your stuff. The guys have a day off. Like, I don't know what you're doing here, but I was just like, I was so embarrassed. But those are two kind of stories that stick out to me when I think of my time in Edmonton, minus obviously my first goal, my last goal. Funny, my last goal was again against Colorado, but this time in Colorado against Peter Budaj. So I scored my first goal against Peter, and I scored my last goal against Peter. I had gone 44 games that season without a goal. I had 9 assists. I had like 84 shots, hadn't scored all year. Kelly Buchberger says, man, you got to change your tape. Why are you using white tape? You're not a sniper. You're a grinder. Put black tape on your stick. And I was like, no, I can't. I've always used white tape. I'm not going to white tape. So then I went out for that game, and I got to my stick on the stall, and Bucky had taken all my tape off, taped up my stick with black tape, and I went out and scored a goal. And that was the last goal I scored in the NHL. So that's pretty cool too.
Were you a superstitious guy at all? Like when you'd go on a run like that where you didn't score, like were you doing anything? Were you eating different things for meals and all that? Or were you just kind of, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go out there, play hard, and if I score, I score?
yeah, I was never really focused on stats, to be honest with you. So I would change different things just because I like trying new things. But in terms of the tape, I never really wanted to mess around with the tape. I always used white tape. I didn't like the look of black tape. Didn't like looking down on the ice and seeing the black tape with the puck on my stick. So, but no, I wasn't overly superstitious.
I love that you brought up the fact you had to jump the fence from the LRT station. Cause like I remember as a kid going to games at Rexall and having to park like 3 blocks away, and it'd be like minus 25 in February. I mean, my dad would be like walking, and then you get through the LRT station and all that. And like you go into that old barn there and you compare it to what they have now. And it's like, you guys used to have to park if you drove like on that ramp outside, and now it's like a heated underground thing. Like I look at that, I'm like, man, the guys that played at Rexall, you probably have some great stories about like weird little Rexallisms, things throughout the rink. I mean, the press box being where it was, that was a hell of a barn.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Liam, really appreciate your time, man. This was a really great chat. Like going back through memory lane with you. Appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, there you go. That is former NHLer Liam Reddox. I love that story about him falling asleep on his bag. And that is going to wrap up episode 250 of the Real Life Podcast. Shout out to Oodle Noodle. Shout out to Twig and Berries. 15% off. That is the only promo code you need in your life. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing to the pod. We'll talk to you again on Thursday.
Great job on making it through the entire hour of the Real Life Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from.